expensive. Just actually look for runs. At the moment, they really are purely into wicket preservation. Here is Lakmal again. Short wide, that is a wide, and umpire Alim Dar has the arms out immediately. A bit of fresh air into those armpits. Have to bowl that one again. Tharanga Lakmal.
Yeah, you want to think they'd want to take at least a bit of advantage from the power play, obviously with only 2 men allowed outside of the circle, and it is obviously it's a great time to bat with the ball coming on what is a good pitch, not a lot of swing or seam movement as we've discussed. Whilst you do want to keep wickets in hand, you do really want to take advantage of these first 10 overs. So I'm sure de Kock and Amla both have their eye and now have a feel for the pitch and will be looking to expand.
Yeah, I think he is, Quinton de Kock, and that was an expansive drive. He almost walked into the drive there, a little bit of an inside edge, trickles down to short fine leg, and they pick up a single. I tell you what, Quinton de Kock has never made a start like this. He's got 1200s, 1350s, and has got over 3,000 one-day international runs, and I've watched and described every one of his innings, and he's never made a start like this. 6 off 23.
Yeah, I've not actually bowled at him. I was potentially going to in the IPL this year, but of course he got injured, so didn't play for Delhi. But you always watch him and you see him around the world, and you think, oh, he comes out and he scores quickly and he looks to tee off.
Exactly right. Well, Hashim Amla comes forward and drives the last ball of the 6th over. Straight out to extra cover, and there's no run. Well, AB de Villiers said it would be a cautious start, and so it is. 6 overs gone, 18 without loss. More from Tymel Mills, and then it'll be Phil Walker to take over for the next half an hour.
6 overs gone here at the Oval. Phil joining me on comms.
Morning, Tymel.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Interesting start out here. 18 for no loss after 6. A cautious opening here, and Quinton de Kock, normally so devastating in these opening overs, just feeling his way into the ICC Champions Trophy 2017, and of course the serene beauty of Hashim Amla at the other end. 9 from 13 for the great man, and just 6 from 23 for Quinton de Kock, as Malinga moves in to begin the 7th over, and this one is wide, and de Kock, bang on cue, opens the face and drills that across this pearly oval outfield, and that is his first boundary. He is away, Quinton de Kock. He's played within himself up to now, Tymel, but such is his talent and such is his appetite as well for this new ball. You imagine that this could just be the shackles broken and he could just head on from here.
Yeah, slower ball from Malinga, even though there are 3 fielders on the offside at point, extra cover and cover. Slow ball was too wide going across Quinton de Kock, so gave him room to free his arms and middled the ball nicely through, and got away for the first boundary.
Malinga in again, right arm over, and this one is another slower ball, and de Kock beaten all ends up by that one. Beautifully bowled, trademark stuff by Lasith Malinga, just running his fingers across the ball. Slight off cutter away from the left-hander, and de Kock through his shot, kind of stunted attempt at a push down the ground. Nothing more than fresh air there.
Yeah, much better line and length. The ball before was far too wide and a bit shorter, so de Kock had time to both pick it and get his arms through it. That one slightly fuller and closer into de Kock, and then gripped a little bit as it went across his body, so that was obviously where he wants to be bowling it.
22 for no loss, 6.2 gone. Malinga in again, and this one, middle and leg. De Kock plays it quietly into the onside, but Malinga does the rest off his own bowling. Tight onside field, of course, straight mid-wicket. Man on the 1 at mid-on as well, and a man on the 45 on the leg side, so a 5-4 offside field for Malinga, who, it's probably fair to say, hasn't bowled with quite the speed that we've seen in the past. Of course, he's 33 and a bit now, Malinga. He's been around for a long time, but what he might have lacked in yardage, he certainly makes up for in nous. And he's in again this time, and bang on cue, but de Kock angles that one behind square on the offside, so he'll pick up a single. Moves on to 11 from 27, just with that one boundary. Astounding, really, when you think how destructive de Kock is at the top of the order, that he'd go through 27 deliveries for that just single boundary. That said, there's a lot of tension out there. It's a do-or-die kind of tournament, and every game feels like a knockout. And so, despite their talents, despite their natural aggressive intent, it's, I guess, inevitable and natural that they'll be feeding their way into this innings just now. And Hashim Amla now to face up against Lasing Malinga, who's in, right arm over, and slightly short of a length, and he's punched that up to mid-off, and he's squeezed a quick single, and he dives. Missed throw anyway. I think he would probably have been home, but it was pretty tight. And when you're on the back foot as well, taking that quick single up to mid-off, you are sometimes working against the momentum, but I think he was probably okay. Unedifying to see Hashim Amla sprawling in the dirt. You don't ever see that.
It was a bit of an ungracious dive, really, wasn't it? Wasn't you? That's not how you teach him how to dive. He's got to dive knee first, but with his bat out was well in. Yeah. Should the hit have been? Should the throw have been better?
Yeah, he was okay. Made his ground. In fact, half his body had made the ground by the end of it. Malinga in again. 24 for no loss. Tense times out here. And this one, slightly slower ball yet again, just cutting his fingers across the seam. And de Kock saw this one, dropped it at his feet, but no run as backward point comes in and does the rest. So 7 overs gone, 24 for no loss. Circumspect start by South Africa, but as AB said at the beginning, at the toss, he'll pretty much take anything at 10 overs, provided that wicket column says no loss.
Yeah, and as you say, it has been very circumspect, but just going back to that last Malinga over, I noticed he bowled 5 out of 6 slower balls in that over already, and we're only in obviously just the 7th over just been bowled. And traditionally, power play, you're attacking, you need to take wickets, and it looks like he's almost gone to a defensive mindset. I know you mentioned earlier he obviously doesn't have that pace that he used to have, and this does look like a good oval wicket, and there's no real swing or seam movement for him anyway. Lakmal's got a couple to offer a little bit, but yeah, kind of 5 out of 6 slow balls in your 4th over, as that was, is an interesting kind of thing going forward, and could be quite ominous for Sri Lanka.
As Lakmal begins the 8th over, and he beats him, going up against Amla, but no joy. Umpire remains unmoved. Unconvincing appeal, but well bowled, and just as Malinga's gone, as you quite rightly say, Tamal, to a kind of containing job, Lakmal has run in, hit the pitch, got a little bit of away movement, and that one certainly hit the seam. Moved away from Amla, who fenced at it. No slip, of course, at this stage. But he's started well as Lakmal from the pavilion end into his 4th over. Just 10 runs so far conceded. South Africa 24 for no loss in the 8th. And he's in again, Lakmal, direct. And this one, bang on the money yet again, and Amla can only punch it to short extra cover and no run. Sri Lanka come into this tournament in a kind of a bit of a funk, I suppose, and they've lost their skipper as well, of course, Angelo Mathews. They'll be pretty pleased with this start, I would say. They haven't given anything away. Crucial momentum shifts in these opening overs, and as we've seen so many times before at the Oval, if you play through the line, then you can get away as a batting side. And we've not seen any evidence of that just yet with South Africa, and I think Sri Lanka will be pretty pleased with the first 40-odd minutes out here as Lakmal's in again. And again, bang on the money, just slightly short of a length, but Amla will squeeze a single into the offside, just opening the face, playing it with soft hands behind square on the offside. But Sri Lanka showing impressive nous out here so far. Of course, Upul Tharanga, their opening bat, he's the makeshift step-in captain for Angelo Mathews, who will, you feel, be a big miss down the pipe. He is their main man, their Dhoni equivalent, if you like. He gets the games done for Sri Lanka, and he will be a miss, no question of it. As Lakmal in again, attacking through the crease and slightly leg side, and de Kock can only find a single. Man up on the 45 on the leg side, and the little leg glance picks out that man, and so de Kock remains becalmed out there. 12 from 29, and remarkable really, just one boundary for so far in 7.4 overs. the pyrotechnics that we've come to expect these days from ODI cricket. This is a proper cricket game tomorrow.
Far from, obviously I've just been in the IPL the last couple of months. You didn't see much 26 for naught after seven and a bit overs out there.
This is proper cricket right here. Lakmal in again, and he maintains that immaculate line just outside off stump, slightly short of a length. Nothing hittable yet. He bowled one wide to De Kock, but that was the only one really. Aside from that, he's been immaculate in line and length. And Amla, no run there out on the offside, and so he remains 11 from 18. Hashim Amla. I imagine Hashim must have some pretty fond memories of this place. 2012, 311 not out, 600 for 2. South Africa. That was an interesting couple of days for an English fan. Amla this time, trademark stuff, just works it off the hip into the vast expanses on the leg side. But of course, there's a man back on the boundary, just behind square on the leg side, and so we'll pick up a single and maintain the strike. 27 for no loss from 8 overs. Amla 12, De Kock also 12, and Lakmal 4 overs for 13, and Lasith Malinga 14 from his 4. You imagine they will probably be looking to shake things up now.
Yeah, and I'm
holding Malinga back for the death, of course.
Yeah, and I'm sure they want to try and make a breakthrough pretty soon, because you look at this South African batting lineup, and if these two get going, you know, obviously they can go big. And you know, the captain Tharanga will have in the back of his mind that they've got Du Plessis, De Villiers, David Miller and JP Duminy to come, and Chris Morris at the end, very big hitter as well. So the longer this game goes on with these two just batting with the power that South Africa have got in the shed, if those guys that are in the middle order get to come out of a licence of, you know, these two have set a great platform here, say in 20 overs, 25 overs time. If these two set a really good platform, and the middle order of the South Africa have got, if they've got the licence just to come in and really attack, it could be very dangerous. So I'm sure Sri Lanka will be really keen for a wicket in the next couple of overs.
With a view to that, Nuwan Pradeep will be replacing Lasith Malinga from the Vauxhall end at the Oval, and right arm over, broad-shouldered seamer, medium fast, I would say, and bang on the money yet again, in keeping with his opening bowlers as well. They've been very disciplined out there, Sri Lanka, so far. They're well aware they're in a contest here, and they're giving nothing away. Strong local support, of course. This is the heart of London town, folks. Plenty of Sri Lankan fans in, plenty of South African fans too. I would say it's 9/10 full already, and we're only a few overs into this 100-over game. It will be packed by the end of this, as Pradeep, again, bowling of a kind of English-style length. He's an English-style bowler, really, wicket to wicket. No fuss, no kind of unconventional craziness a la Lasith Malinga. He's a very solid English-style medium-fast, chest-on, right-arm over bowler. He does a good job for his side. Only started bowling with a cricket ball aged 20, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good fact there. And a lot of these guys won't be unfamiliar to English conditions. They've toured in England the last few years, haven't they, Sri Lanka? So a lot of these boys will, you know, this won't be alien to them at all. So they know what they've got to do to bowl well here.
Indeed.
And, yeah, obviously, as I said, they'll be looking to make breakthroughs soon.
Yeah, and they like it here, of course, Sri Lanka. They have great pedigree and a great record at the Oval over the years. As Pradeep again, bang on the money, just slightly short of a length, and all Amla can do is just punch it up to mid-on. So 3 dots to begin his spell, Nuwan Pradeep, against a becalmed Hashim Amla. 27 for no loss, 8.3 gone, as he's in again, Pradeep. And this one is a little bit wider, but Amla tries to throw his hands at it and can only rather cloth it, trickling up to mid-on, and he'll squeeze a single out of that, but barely deserved for the rather kind of agricultural attempt to flay it through the offside. Maybe not quite as much pace as we've come to expect in oval tracks. Maybe looks slightly sticking in the pitch, it would seem, in these early stages.
Yeah, it just looks a good wicket, doesn't it? You know, there's nothing there for the batters to really be afraid of. Pradeep coming up there, that last ball at 88 miles an hour, which is good pace, but wasn't anything that really kind of jumped off this surface that would have, you know, Amla or de Kock really worried. Still got to slip in, so they're still looking to attack here. Got a deep square leg and third man out as the two men on the boundary, which is a pretty standard field for modern day cricket.
He's in again, Preddy. Right arm over to the left-handed de Kock, and he tries to work that into the onside, but he can only succeed in picking out mid-on. Again, they're not giving him an inch here. Quinton de Kock, devastating on his day, and he has plenty of them as well. 82 ODIs in his still pretty nascent career. Quinton de Kock, he's already smashed 1200s from those 80-odd games, 82 games. He is a special talent, of that there is no doubt. But as of yet to really free the arms. Pradeep this time, and de Kock advances down the pitch, shimmies down, but again, can't get it away. Excellent first over by Pradeep. They've been an impressive unit up to now, Sri Lanka. 2 medium fast, and of course Lasith Malinga, that little bit of magic from the great man. And South Africa are just tiptoeing along so far, 28 for no loss after 9. The sun's out now, folks. The clouds are dissipating above South London. It's a beautiful Saturday here in London town, and this game is just bubbling away. You can hear the brass bands out there, and the South African drummers band as well out in the Lakers stand. It's a kind of it's the early part of a party, isn't it, when everyone's just getting themselves together, finding out their place, and then they're going to let fly later on this afternoon. It's a fabulous place to play, fabulous place to watch cricket. This is the people's ground here at the Oval. Lakmal to continue, and again Amla plays this nicely behind square, but beautifully fielded in there at backward point. Superb piece of work, and Amla remains on strike on 13 from 24 now, with no boundary.
Yeah, nice bit of fielding there, wasn't it? Backward point. They've been pretty tidy all around. We've said Sri Lanka both with the ball, and then back that up in the field also. Last over of this power play now, and then you'll see the field start to spread a little bit, and I'm sure we'll see some spin on show to see if they can get anything out of this surface. But yeah, great bit of fielding there at backward point.
Lakmal again, bang on the money, and they've been strong, South Africa, in that inner ring. They've been lively. Kapugedera, of course, at backward point. You got the young sensation Kusal Mendis in there at extra cover. They're a young, zestful side. I guess there is one slight consolation to losing a couple of legends in Jayawardene and Sangakkara, it's that you can inject a little bit more energy and electricity into your outfielding. I'm trying to find some crumbs of comfort for them, of course. The spectre of those two legends does hang heavy over this new version of Sri Lanka, but they're doing it well today so far. Lakmal just short of a length yet again, just hitting that McGrath-like length time after time, and Amla can only play it out into the onside. Once again, no run. A lot of dot balls so far, 28 for no loss in the 10th. And Lakmal from the pavilion end, no fuss, no frills to Lakmal, apart from a rather questionable haircut. And he's done it beautifully so far for his team. He's an emerging bowler. He's had his problems over here in England. He went the distance in a test series not too long ago, but he's emerged as one of the key men in the Sri Lankan attack, and he's doing it again today. This time Amla does almost beat the man on the 45, but in keeping really with the start so far by the South Africans, he can only succeed in picking out the man on the 45, and it was hit cleanly enough to go straight to him. And so they tick along. Sri Lanka holding this together quite impressively so far. Lakmal strides back to his mark. He'll be feeling pretty good about life in his 5th over now, just gone for 13 from 4.4. Not tried anything too fancy, he's just hit that length, that top of off stump length. And he's in again. Tidy action, close to the stumps, and this time Amla does work it through the onside beautifully. Oh, that's trademark Amla to Marn Wills.
Yeah, that's great. I've unfortunately been on the receiving end of that a few times, having having played against him around the world. Here at the Oval when he was playing for Surrey, he played against him also, and yeah, he's so good at working that ball to the leg side. He walks right across the stumps. He backs himself. If you're going to bowl straight at him, he'll just hit it. He back himself not to miss the ball and get done LBW, and just worked that beautifully through the leg side. Only one man out there who's at square leg, and he got it well in front of square down to where deep mid wicket would have been if there was a fielder there. And yeah, as you said, kind of vintage Hashim Amla.
Lakmal in again, final delivery of the 10th, and bang on cue yet again, slightly short of a length. Amla plays it very quietly down on the offside, and so no run. You're listening to Sri Lanka versus South Africa in the ICC Champions Trophy live on Cricket Radio. You've been listening as well, of course, to Tamal Mills, the IPL sensation. He's moved out. And how about this? Welcoming to the fray for the first time this morning, folks, Sir Clive Hubert Lloyd.
Oh, Clive Lloyd will do.
Good morning, Clive. How are you,
morning,
sir?
I'm fine. The sun is out, so I'm out. I can improve my tan.
What an honour it is to share commentary duties with the great man. And it's been an enjoyable and interesting start to this tournament so far. Were you here on Thursday, Clive?
Yes, I was. And yesterday's game was a bit of a... that was unfortunate because I thought it could have been interesting. And it had gone to the full distance.
Yeah, of course, rained off, unfortunately, right at the death yesterday. New Zealand, Australia. This time, Pradeep in the slot, and de Kock can only punch it straight back to the bowler, rather. One hand, one bounce for Pradeep, who has only conceded one run so far from his first 7 deliveries, so he'll be pleased with his start. And de Kock, just 12 from 32. I wouldn't say many people saw that coming this morning. If de Kock was going to be still in here into the 11th over, we'd have thought he'd have had considerably more than this, but this has been the nature of the beast when you're playing in England, that you have to be circumspect initially, early morning, a little bit of movement, and Pradeep this time explores the middle of the pitch, and de Kock sways out of line. A little bit of pace out there. Keeper taking it in front of his face. It's good signs so far for Sri Lanka. They've mixed it up, they've been disciplined, and they're in this fight, that there is no doubt. So were you impressed with England, Clive, on Thursday?
Oh yes, they batted extremely well. And I think that's their strength, really. They bat very deep.
This time, full one by Pradeep, and it's drilled out just behind square and backward point. Kapagera manages to get a hand on it to prevent the boundary, but de Kock will get back for 2 as it ricochets and trickles back down to third man, and so de Kock moves on slowly, if surely, to 14 now. Amla on 17 at the non-strikers, 34 for no loss in the 11th. Circumspect start here. Both sides feeling their way into this tournament. Similar to Bangladesh, in fact, on Thursday morning, as they're just finding their way through. This time de Kock does find the middle of the bat. Over pitch by Pradeep. Juicy half volley in truth, middle and leg, and de Kock does not miss out there. He's drilled it easy as you like through straight mid wicket for his second boundary.
I must say that Sri Lanka sort of held their own quite well here at his first 11 overs. And the point about these two guys are, if they're anything over pitch, they're punks in it. Amla's got some terrific wrists. He's anything middle stump, off stump, he can work to leg. And they're really a very good opening pair.
Pradeep in again this time, better line, better length. No dice there for Quinton de Kock, trying to angle it behind square on the offside, but he can only succeed in picking out the man, and so Pradeep pulls it back after that boundary 4 from the previous over. 38 for no loss in the 11th. Sri Lanka will be pretty pleased with this start. But as we see in modern day one-day cricket, the game can turn on a dime. 2 or 3 overs of sudden batting brilliance, the shoulders can be opened, and then the momentum of an innings can change just like that. We've seen it so many times before. Wickets in hand will be the mantra for South Africa as de Kock plays it out quietly into the onside for a single. Just 3 men on that onside against the left-hander, and after 11 overs, 39 for no loss. Both sides will feel reasonably content at this stage. Neither has seized the initiative. Should be a good game, this one. Two fine teams with great pedigree at this ground, of course. Sri Lanka made their inaugural test win against England here in '98. South Africa won the test match here when Amla, of course, made 300 and plenty back in 2012, so he enjoys it out here as well.
But if you look at it, if you talked about things changing, if you looked at yesterday's game, you probably thought that New Zealand would get it anywhere around 340. They had enough time, they had enough overs, and they had enough batters, but they just lost their way, just like Sri Lanka, just like Bangladesh did against England. So it's a situation of adapting to the situation, sort of getting yourself attuned to the situation and trying to work accordingly. And I suppose with this sort of start here, that if they have wickets in hand, South Africa do have some very good players, some guys that can really strike the ball around the place. So you're hoping that Sri Lanka would have some bowler in the middle there that will come and get them a couple of wickets if things get out of hand.
Yeah, you're listening to the thoughts of Clive Lloyd, live and exclusive on Cricket Radio. Sri Lanka versus South Africa in the ICC Champions Trophy 2017. We're here at the Oval. It's a beautiful day. The clouds are clearing by the minute. Weather set fair, we hope. There's always a chance of a shower. This is England, folks, but we should be fine today. And it appears that they're going to throw the ball to Gunaratne now, leaving Lakmal back for the latter overs. Oh, and it's a nice start. Interesting bowler, Gunaratne. Kind of medium slow, I would say, almost. He bowls a few cutters, a few leggies in there as well. Not to be underestimated.
Mystery man.
Yeah. He's, with respect, he's Angelo Mathews' backup, I would say. Thrusting middle order batsman and a bag of tricks with the ball. But he's not to be underestimated, Gunaratne. He goes right arm round, kind of waddling approach, wide of the crease this time, full, and de Kock plays it behind square, cuffs it away, and scampers back for an easy second in the end. So, a little bit of momentum for de Kock. Moves into his 20s now, 21 from 39. With just a couple of boundary fours. Nothing airborne yet. He hasn't thrown his hands at anything. He's played very much within himself up to now. As Gunaratne from the pavilion end, again wide of the crease, right arm round to the left-hander, and de Kock plays that out with soft hands into the gap in the offside, and it's an easy single. Bringing Hashim Amla, the king of the Oval, back on strike. He's been in scintillating form, of course, Amla. 2 tons in the IPL. Runs as well against England, of course. A runnable 70 in that first match. It's fabulous to watch on his day. And he enjoys playing here. When he gets in, he tends to go big. So Gunaratne staying round the wicket, despite right arm round to the right-hander. No men catching, of course. Very much a containing job. And that's nicely bowled. A little bit of flight, despite him having a kind of medium paces run up, Clive. A little bit of flight in there, a little bit of guile. Hard to pin down, hard to describe, really. A kind of ill-defined bowler.
It's a right arm Underwood.
That'll do. There you go. Where is Deadly? He'll be in one of the boxes today, no doubt, as Amla just deflects that easy as you like off the pads. Trademark style, shuffling across, playing from an off-stump guard. And as ever, finding one of the spaces, one of the gaps on the leg side, just behind square this time, easy enough. Ambles through for another single. And so this curious opening for South Africa is beginning to take shape. 43 for no loss now in the 12th. De Kock on strike. Gunaratne again rather waddles into the crease. The right arm medium slow seamer, come cutter bowler, and de Kock will find another single out to deep mid-wicket. And so, pretty tidy start by, with respect, the fill-in bowler, the 5th bowler in this South African side, Gunaratne, Sri Lankan side rather.
Would you say then he must be doing the same job that Mendis did because Mendis was pretty good, a very good bowler in this sort of situation, and he comes in and bowls that sort of tight line. So he looks like he's filling in for Mendis, and he's doing a good job so far. First over only cost him 5 runs, so it should be interesting to see how he continues as the game goes along. And it looks like the game against England, the pavilion end had a bit of pace, but it looks now from the Vauxhall end seems to have more pace than the other side.
Been a watchful start for South Africa. We have Nuwan Pradeep continuing from the Vauxhall end. One slip in position, and this time it's edged and taken. Quinton de Kock is gone. The first ball, I take over the commentary. It's probably not too lucky for South Africa, but yes, outside the off stump, just fended a bit with his feet not moving around, and a thickish edge back to the keeper. Bit of a dive to the left and easily taken.
I think Sri Lanka would want you to come on more often.
I'm doing 4 stints, so yeah, it should be good.
Well, I thought, as I said, the ball seems to be doing a little bit more from this end, a little bit more pace, and this one just left him and he followed it, and it was well taken by the keeper.
Welcome change for Sri Lanka. South Africa had made a bit of a slow start, but getting Quinton de Kock, 23, that's breaking the partnership as well, and timely wicket for Sri Lanka, really.
Yes, and he's the young man that is in form. He got 98 the other day. But the point is that this pitch here looks a little bit different than the one that England played on. Pace is from the other end. It seems it's a bit more lively from the Vauxhall end. But it's interesting to see what Sri Lanka does from here, because 12 overs, 44 for 1. If they can get a couple more wickets, then get into the middle. It should be quite an interesting day.
So Faf du Plessis is the new batsman in, and he's been in form in 2017. 450s and 200s so far this year, and probably had a great first half of this year. Solid batsman. He's a test captain, versatile player as well, coming in at number 3, and South Africa will want to restart here. Yes, they've been careful in the first 12 overs, but just restarting here, get a partnership going, and build a base for their hard-hitting batsmen lower down the order.
Yes, I think they'll want to do something here, in a sense that if they do Plessis, he's played county cricket, he knows the conditions fairly well, and if they can have a partnership here and not lose too many more wickets, it should be a very interesting day.
Fuller delivery first up from Nuwan Pradeep. There was a slip in place, but the batsman just comes forward and drives it back down the ground. No run added there. So Hashim Amla then at the other end on 18 not out. So the feet, again, we're looking at our screens, a bit of a replay there. Not really movement from his feet there. Just standing and playing at the ball. Thickish outside edge, and there's not much to do after that.
Well, it was a little wide, and he yes, as you said, he didn't. It played away from his body, so he was never in control.
Pradeep once again to the play, and that's just caught at the crease. Bit surprised with the sudden bounce, short of length, and on the middle end leg, the batsman going nowhere. Bit of an appeal, but probably just sailing clear over the stumps, that one.
Well, yes, as I said, they're getting a bit of purchase from the side, from the Vauxhall end. And this guy he doesn't look like he would be nippy, but he is a bit sharp.
Last delivery, 88 miles per hour. Pradeep once again, this time just shouldered arms there by the batsman, a bit outside the off stump, short of length, bit of width, but didn't want to play at it. So du Plessis is just waiting and watching and seeing what the pitch is doing, what the bowler is doing, and as Sir Clive Lloyd mentioned, he's looking nippy, getting good pace. 87.5 again. And
not only that, he's moving it around. This is a nice little leg cutter. He bowled an off cutter to de Kock, so he's moving the ball around.
Slip in position still for Nuwan Pradeep. This time defended solidly, standing tall in his crease. Fuller delivery, but like I said, just defended it properly. still to get off the mark. This is turning out to be a very, very good over for Sri Lanka. Just the one ball remaining. First ball itself, they got that wicket, they got that breakthrough. And we saw the first game here of the Champions Trophy, England and Bangladesh. Bangladesh also made a sedate start, and then they were able to get to 300. It was pretty similar what South Africa were doing, and timely breakthrough then for Sri Lanka. Last delivery of the over, this time just watchful and played it late, just a bit wide of the fielder at slip, who comes in and chases it, and just a one run. Faf du Plessis is off the mark. And at the end of 13 overs, it's 45 for 1.
Yes, this is a very good spell here for Sri Lanka. Their first change and Pradeep, Gunaratne and Pradeep seem to be just doing the job that is expected from them. Putting the ball, not giving too much away, not getting it into that driving area. And I'm very impressed here at the moment with Pradeep. He seems to be... At least you don't know what he's going to do. He's getting it to go both ways, so that's very interesting. And they're still getting a bit of movement. The pitch in the game against England, after the first 5 overs, it was sort of placid. Here they're still getting a bit of movement and getting a pace. It's a bit pacey off the pitch.
Not like the artillery you were used to in the 70s, but definitely something that Upul Tharanga can use. And there might be a bit of a bowling change. We have Sekuge Prasanna, who's coming on to bowl, left-arm orthodox spinner. I think it's a good move. Asela Gunaratne was doing well at the other end.
Yeah, I probably would have kept on. Gunaratne, I would have kept him on for another over at least, but...
Du Plessis facing, and this time just turning the ball down to the leg side, the fielder at short mid-wicket. So interesting field there for... beg your pardon, it was not left-arm orthodox, it's right-arm orthodox. Prasanna, just the one delivery so far for him. A slip in position, as well as this time down the leg side, straying there, wide signal by the umpire. So one more run added to the total. So a slip in position. We also have cover, backward point, short mid-wicket, mid-off, and fine leg up in the circle. We also have protection in the deep. Fielder at deep cover and deep mid-wicket. Prasanna to Faf du Plessis. Fuller on the off stump and driven down the ground. The batsman will cross over for a single. It'll be Hashim Amla who will be a taking strike now. Score is 47 for 1. And Hashim Amla had 200s in the IPL. I had the opportunity to have a bit of a chat with him. Meanwhile, it's Prasanna to Amla on the middle off and just turned it away straight to the fielder at short mid wicket. No run added there. It's again on the off stump, and fielder at extra cover just coming in a bit and hit him straight to the fielder. No run added there. So again, pressure being built here by the Sri Lankan bowlers. Just the one run in this over so far. This time a bit more width and gets it past the fielder at backward point. It'll run away for 4. There's no cover in the deep. So welcome boundary for South Africa as the pressure was starting to build on. 50 has also come up for the Proteas. It's 51 for 1.
Yes, you seem to be... Prasanna seemed to be doing quite well for the first 4 balls, but then tried something different, and I don't see why you should.
This time a bit of an appeal, loud appeal in fact from the bowler, but wicketkeeper was not interested. Probably going down the leg side, hit him straight on the pads though, but end of the over, the umpire was not interested either. So it's 51 for 1 at the end of 14 overs, and we'll just get a bit of a comment there from Sir Clive Lloyd. Good start so far for Sri Lanka after winning the toss and opting to bowl. They've restricted South Africa, and they'll be happy with this score at the moment.
Yes, I would think it's 51 for 1 from 14 overs, and they've used 5 bowlers so far, and they've bowled pretty good line and length. What I was saying earlier, here was Prasanna bowling his first over, the first 4 balls, and he bowled quite a good line, and then trying something different. Just try and keep it as tight as possible. And I think it seems that the captain he doesn't feel that he should get anybody to settle. He doesn't want to them to have 5 or 6. He just want to move them around. And I think it might be a very good ploy here, because the pitch is doing a little bit. It looks like it's turning a little bit, and didn't happen in the game against England. So it's interesting to see what happens in the next two or three overs, really.
It's a sunny day here in London, something that New Zealand would have liked in Birmingham yesterday. They had Australia on the mat, and rain-affected game. There were a couple of stoppages when New Zealand were batting, of course, and then Australia got out of jail, really. And Steve Smith in the post-match press conference said as much, which changes the complexion of Group A a bit. But this is Group B, Sri Lanka, South Africa today. We have the big game, India-Pakistan tomorrow. Really setting up this 2017 Champions Trophy. Remember, you're listening on Talk Sport in the UK, and in the other parts of the world, you can listen on Channel 2's Cricket Radio. And this is me, Chetan Narula, and I have Sir Clive Lloyd with me. It's 51 for 1 after 14 overs. Sri Lanka won the toss and opted to bowl first. We saw the dismissal of Quinton de Kock just a short while ago, edged it behind to the wicket keeper, and that was a good away-going delivery from the batsman.
This should be a good game here if they don't have to face, they don't have a daunting sort of total. If they could get them out for around less than 300, this could be a very good game, because Sri Lanka do have some very good players, and they made a 300 odd the other day in a practice game, wasn't it?
Yes.
So the batsmen seem to be in good nick. So they would want to continue in this vein if they can restrict them to a total, anything like 5 or over, or 6. It's gettable here. Big ground, very difficult to defend, and they're very correct players. That's one thing about these Sri Lankan players. They all seem to have very good technique.
Well, we have a statistic in front of us. Sri Lanka have lost last 14 of their last 22 ODIs. Includes losses to England, Australia, South Africa. Bangladesh toured them in April. Even that ODI series was drawn 1-1. One game was rain affected, of course. So Sri Lanka have been in a bit of a turmoil recently. So perhaps not the favourites to get out of this group, but obviously they can surprise anybody on the day.
Well, they can in one-day cricket, you never know. But don't forget they've lost a lot of good players.
Yes.
Sangakkara, Jayawardene.
Yes.
They don't replace those players that easily. So I think they're building again, and I think there are one or two players here who will be able to stand them in good stead for the future.
Faf is on strike. There'll be a slip in position, and we have Nuwan Pradeep, who just took the wicket of Quinton de Kock, 1 for 9 from 3 overs. He'll be continuing from the Vauxhall end, and it's a second stint for coach Graham Ford with Sri Lanka now. And he's been brought in specifically by the Sri Lankan Cricket Board to help this young batch of cricketers. Fine, so it's Pradeep once again running away from us. Faf facing this time on the middle leg and turned it away past the fielder at square leg. And the batsman will easily come back for 2 runs. It's 53 for 1 as we are in the 15th over of the innings. And the oval, well, it's getting full. It's a lot of supporters from both Sri Lanka and South Africa. A lot of jerseys I saw, and both Sri Lanka blue and green in equal mix.
Yes, and I think people are talking about the competition, but it's obvious that people still admire this 50-over game.
Pradeep once again to Faf, and he's just driven it down back to the bowler, bit outside the off stump, but not timed it too properly. South Africa will be happy with this start too, by the way. Just 50 and a bit slow. Yes, the run rate is a bit slow. Perhaps they would have liked. Do you think this is a different pitch, slightly different from the one we had against England versus Bangladesh?
I think it's a little greener. If you're looking at it, I think it's a little bit more pace in it.
Pradeep to Faf, and a bit of a bouncer there. The batsman just letting it go, taking a look at what the umpire was thinking, and the umpires, well, they're just signaling 1 for the over. Not the outcome perhaps the batsman would have liked. Was hoping for perhaps for a wide, but didn't come through.
Yeah. The point about this, if you notice here, is that these guys are not devastatingly quick. but they could, they're making them think about it, and it's quite obvious that there's a bit of pace in this pitch, a bit more than the last one.
Pradeep once again to Faf and a bit outside the off stump, but stands tall and drives, but there's a fielder there placed at short extra cover and hits the ball straight to him. Pradeep perhaps a bit deceptive in his space here. He's been consistently hitting the 86-87 mark. Last delivery 86, the previous one almost 88 plus. So perhaps deceiving the batsman with his subtle changes in pace.
Well, it's not only that. I think he's doing something with the ball. He's not just bowling straight up and down. He's moving it around.
Pradeep once again to Faf, this time across the batsman on his leg stump, and he plays it off his thighs, turns it down. They're coming in for a quick double, and the keeper destroys the stumps, but the batsmen have made it through. The fielder at fine leg, Lasith Malinga, did some pretty good work, came in quickly and got rid of the ball, but the batsman able to cross over for 2 runs. It's 55 for 1. Faf has moved on to 6 of 12 balls, and Hashim Amla at the other end is 22. The test skipper, the South African test skipper, yet to get a boundary in his 12 balls, but he won't be too flustered about it. Looking at the field, mid-off, mid-on in position, cover and point as well. Slip 2 as Pradeep bowls to Faf to play, and he drives straight to the fielder at short extra cover. No run added at the end of 15 overs. It's 55 for 1. And a last comment there from Sir Clive Lloyd.
Yeah, this is a pretty good start here by Sri Lanka, because and I think I noticed why they've decided to bowl a little bit more spin. Sometimes South Africa do succumb to some good spin bowling. So I think the captain will employ some spin towards the spear and the others to come.
Right. Perfect little tip for the stand-in captain Upul Tharanga from 2-time World Cup winner Sir Clive Lloyd. And after a few minutes, I'll be joined in by two former English cricketers, and we'll just get down to that in just a bit. Meanwhile, it'll be Sikuge Prasanna who will be continuing from the pavilion end, and it's Hashim Amla facing, as I'm joined in by Alex Tudor, former England cricketer, as well as former England cricketer once again, Owesh Shah. Very good afternoon to both of you, and welcome.
Afternoon, and afternoon everyone. Afternoon to my good friend Owesh. I'm sure this could get quite lively, let me tell you, listeners.
Afternoon, Alex. Afternoon, Chetan.
And meanwhile, first delivery of the over, Amla was able to steal a single. This is Faf to play, who's facing now. Quick single there. The fielder at mid-on was just a bit deep towards the circle, and the batsman crossing over for a very, very quick run. Good running between the wickets. These two starting to rotate the strike, starting to get the regular runs. It's 57 for 1 at the moment.
Yeah, that's what they need to do. Obviously, there hasn't been a lot of boundaries hidden so far. They just need to rotate the strike, pounce on a bad ball, or what batsmen generally do, they have a go-to shot and try and go quite early in the over to go for the boundary, put pressure on the bowler.
Prasanna once again to Amla, who's driven it straight to the fielder at extra cover. And Owesh, Alex told me something very interesting before this stint. You like to watch batsmen, and this time just the ball turning away from the off and middle, across, bit of a thickish inside edge, and down towards fine leg. Lasith Malinga, the fielder, but the batsman able to cross over. 3 runs already from this over. It's 58 for 1. So coming back again to that, people have come in here to watch Hashim Amla or Lasith Malinga.
Hashim Amla, of course. AB de Villiers, Faf to Plessis. Do you want me to carry on?
I think Alex will have something to respond. Meanwhile, the batsman, Faf to play, just drives this one last delivery for no run straight to extra cover. Last delivery of the over coming up. This time just dabbed at it and past the fielder at extra cover, and the batsman again going across for a run. 4 runs so far from this over, and that's the end of 16. 59 for 1. Alex, your call?
We always have this constant battle, me and Owesh. I've known Owesh for years. You know, we grew up together playing through the age groups with England, South England. And because of the way that the cricket's going, especially ODIs at the moment, where the wickets are so good, batsmen are dominating, the poor bowlers, they're just, gone are the days where you bowled your 10 overs for, 40, 50, you thought you'd done a good job. Now guys are going for 70 and happy with it. It's nonsense for me. That's nonsense. But as Away says, no one comes in here to watch someone get bowled out for 150. But I think quite recently there was a T20 during the IPL, which we did on TalkSport 2 here, and a low-scoring game was absolutely priceless. It was great, batsmen having to manoeuvre the ball and think about it. It wasn't just sort of stand and deliver, and bowlers were getting some joy, and good players got runs. I just gone on days where I just see average players getting runs. I don't like that.
A lot has changed because of the advent of T20 cricket. We'll get a comment from Ovesh Shah in just a second. It'll be Nuwan Pradeep meanwhile to continue. 4 overs, 1 for 13, and it's Faf to play who will be facing a slip, still in position for Pradeep. This time on the off stump, short of length, and the batsman standing tall and driving straight to the field at extra cover. Always, you've been involved with the IPL. You've been involved with a lot of T20 franchisees, and Hashim Amla was recently involved in the 2017 IPL, scored 200s there, and I had a chance to speak with him. And he said he liked to open the innings in T20 cricket, liked to face the new ball. Just try and help us here. How much of an influence is opening the innings as Pradeep once again, this time high in the air. Will it be a catch? Will it sail across the boundary? It is, in fact, dropped by Lasat Malinga at fine leg. It was a bounce, a short delivery to play. He just took it on high in the air, just danced around in the air, and Malinga finally not able to get to it.
Yeah, very difficult catch there for Lasat Malinga. I think the ball swinging around with the slight breeze that we've got blowing today. But saying that, he should have done better than that, Alex.
Yeah, he should have. He sort of went back. He didn't know whether it was going to go past him. Then had to dive forward.
Could have been a second wicket for Pradeep, but dropped catch there, and 2 runs added to play his score. He's moved on to 10 in double figures, 61 for 1. Could have been 59 for 2.
Yeah, and it's about getting that stable base, isn't it, out in the outfield? Getting that stable base when you see the ball come, and he had to dive forward, and he's fluffed his lines, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm surprised actually. A lot of players nowadays actually practice that kind of scenarios before the game for a good 15-20 minutes.
Pradeep once again to the batsman, this time just turning it on to the leg side with soft hands and taking a single. And we saw the flags fluttering there. Perhaps the wind had something to do with it, and Malinga just disturbed at the last moment.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. So you want to be aware of what and whereabouts exactly you are in relation to the boundary line, and then from there you've got to be able to really focus on that ball. Sure, there's going to be breeze blowing, which we have got a bit of a breeze blowing today, which would have definitely put Malinga off trying to catch that ball. So that's something I'm surprised he's messed it up the way he did.
So the slip has now come out for Hashim Amla. Short delivery as Amla just rocks back onto the back foot and pulls it away. There's a fielder there at square leg. Batsman crossing over for the 1 run, and it's 63 for 1.
And just going back to your point earlier about Hashim Amla enjoying opening the batting, a player like Hashim is a touch player. He relies on the pace on the ball, so it's an ideal opportunity for him to open the batting and pierce the gaps. If he can get off to a flyer, gets about, say 25 runs.
Pradeep, meanwhile, to Faf to play. Just slip-in was in position, and this time he's played with deft hands and will beat the fielder at third man. A welcome boundary, first boundary, in fact. Beg your pardon, that was Hashim Amla. So, no, it was Duplay itself. So, first boundary for Duplay there. End of the 17th over. Got a boundary of the last over there. And 8 runs of that last one. A dropped catch, 8 runs. Not a good one for Nuwan Pradeep or Sri Lanka there.
Yeah, they would have liked to sort of, as you say, this South African batting order, it bats so deep, so if you can make inroads early, that's what you need to do. But, it's unfortunate there for a bowler. I'm going to go on with this bowler and batter thing again. The bowler has seen du Plessis, he's moved across his stumps over to off stump to try and work on the onside. He's followed him, he's got a fixed side edge, he actually played it extremely well, past first slip, no chance, 4 runs.
Sikuge Prasanna to continue from the pavilion in. Hashim Amla facing and drives it past the fielder at point. There's cover in the deep, so the batsman will be able to cross for just 1 run.
Well, yeah, that boundary, Alex, woke everyone up, didn't it? I mean, the bowlers have got the ball reversing here from the Vauxhall end. It is just tailing a little bit, so hence batting hasn't been that exciting and that easy. Hence the crowd, they look half asleep, Al.
Perhaps half of them have gone to get a glass of beer. again.
Well, I don't know about that. I think they're just waiting for these guys to score some runs because that's what they've come to watch.
Driven towards deep extra cover where the fielder will run in and protect the ball inside the boundary line. 2 runs added to the total, 70 for 1. And again, picking up on that point, his run rate for South Africa is just 4 per over. You won't like that too much, with the strength of batting. But Alex, you should have liked what you've seen from Sri Lanka today, as this time driven straight to the fielder at point.
Yeah, I do. I like it because it's a very good wicket. Okay, I don't think you're going to blast anyone else. But what they've done is restricted South Africa, not giving them much width. Tuck the batsman in, and then obviously if the batsmen are going to play a shot.
Prasanna to Faf, straight to the fielder at extra cover. So he's not been easy to get away with. 13 runs in his third over now.
Well,
bowling from the pavilion end. This time again, solid defence on the front foot.
Well, I don't think the wicket is as good as what we saw the other day when England played Bangladesh. I think this wicket is where I don't think there's that much pace in the wicket. So the ball is sitting into the ground. And also, Sri Lanka have managed to get the ball to reverse from one end. So scoring is very difficult at the moment.
18 overs done. That was another dot delivery. Just dabbed at it and played it towards the fielder at backward point. 70 for 1 in 18.
Waste makes a good point, but I was here on Thursday and I was watching it obviously for TalkSport, and what they've had, the Sri Lanka, they've had the variety. England's bowlers were quite samey. We had 4 big fast bowlers: Jake Ball, Wokes, Stokes, Wood. All bowling quite quick. But Sri Lanka, their variety. They have. Their bowlers run their fingers through it. Malinga already in the overs that he's bowled a lot of cutters, a lot of slower balls. So, that's different variety. So it's hard for the batsman to sort of get into a rhythm. Yeah, so you have to take risk, and with that risk is what Sri Lanka's hoping for, so they can take that wicket. Obviously, they missed it, the previous over where Malinga dropped that one down at fine leg. But that's what you're hoping for when you play on good wickets. You need to mix up your pace, need to keep the batsman guessing.
Meanwhile, it's Asela Gunaratne who is now coming on to bowl from the Vauxhall end. So not the best last over of this spell from Nuwan Pradeep, but he did the damage. He got Quinton de Kock out, and now it's Gunaratne coming round the wicket to Hashim Amla with the wicketkeeper standing, cuts it away. The fielder in deep cover has some work to do as the batsman cross over for 2 runs. It rained yesterday here as well, so did that perhaps also affect the complexion of the pitch perhaps a bit?
You might juice it up a little bit, but Sri Lanka are not blessed with a lot of fast bowlers. So, had they maybe faced, say, a South Africa attack here or an Australian attack.
72 for 1, again round the wicket, and this time diving effort from the bowler there. Not sure if the ball had carried to him, just hit straight back to him.
I know it rained here yesterday, but prior to that, we've had some beautiful weather here in London. So what you got to realise is that the wickets are going to be quite dry, which means the wickets are going to be reasonably slower, because it's not going to be easy to leave grass on the wickets, because if you have got a game going on, you can only look after that wicket as a groundsman, so you can't look after the other wickets. So if the other wickets get a day of sun on it, it's going to take the pace out of it. It's going to be a lot slower. So that's why I think this wicket, where we're watching, nearly 19 overs are done, and it's 72 for 1.
Gunaratne once again to Amla onto his pads, and he's just turned it away. Good use of the wrist there, and the fielder at deep mid-wicket comes in, restricts the batsman to just 1 run. Score moves on to 73. And here's a start you like. There have been 3 completed innings in this Champions Trophy so far. We've had 300s. We had Tamim, we had Joe Root, and we had Kane Williamson yesterday. And Australia didn't look like getting one, of course.
But it's been brilliant. I've loved it. I've loved the shot making of Joe Root, class act that he is. I watched Kane Williamson put a lovely innings together.
This time again, Gunaratne to Faf du Plessis. He's taken it from outside the off-stump and turned it away towards mid-wicket once again. That same fielder at deep mid-wicket in business once again.
And Kane Williamson, rain-affected day at Edgbaston, but managed to put a beautiful 100 together, full of little nudges and runs down the fine leg with the odd power shot. It was really exciting. I've loved it. But tell you what, no one's talking about Josh Hazlewood's 6 foot.
We'll come back to Alex for that one as Gunaratne comes into bowl to Amla, who goes aerial this time, and that'll be 6. The fielder on the offside, he was stationed at mid-off, so full delivery, his eyes lit up, and he took the aerial route, cleared the boundary. First 6 of the game for Hashim Amla. He moves on to 35. It's 80 for 1.
Yeah, that's clever batting by Hashim Amla, world-class player. And, he sort of knows his art. The bowler, as you said, is bowling round the wicket. The ball's just going across him, sort of just rolling his fingers over it. It was in Hashim's hitting zone, and he dispatched that over long off. A fantastic shot, no risk at all. It was all calculated, and that's what Hashim Amla's about. He's about calculated risks, and he'll just keep going about his business. And there's a lot of thought going on at the minute with the captain, the bowler. What am I going to do? What are you trying to do? I can only put a certain amount of fielders in certain positions. I don't have 15 at my disposal, so you have to be smart as a bowler, and you have to work with your captain, let him know what you're going to do, and then set your field accordingly.
Right, so the fielder stays still at mid-off. This time, defender thickest edge from Amla. Quick here, batsman crossover for a single. And that is the end of 19 overs. So Amla on 36, Faf to play on 18. It's 81 for 1 after 19 overs. And perhaps Alex would like to talk about Josh Hazlewood's spell.
Yeah, Josh, my good friend away, so I love him. Look, did he get 6 for? Was it 6 for he ended up with? Yeah, he bowled well. I mean, a couple were caught on the boundary and stuff like that. They weren't sort of your regulation, caught behind, caught slip, outfoxing the batsman. It was pretty much, the South Africans, the New Zealand batsmen were, going for it at that stage. So, you always, as a bowler, you pick up what you can. And as you say, it wasn't a masterclass of seam bowling, but it's 6 wickets nevertheless. You've got to take what you can, and especially in this day and age when you do get a fifer.
Thanks, Alex. 81 for 1, 19 overs gone. Hello, Oace. Last time we saw each other was in Cape Town, I think.
Yes, that's been a while ago, isn't it?
Playing for the Cobras.
I certainly was. I had 3 wonderful years in Cape Town. Geez, I love that place.
Yeah, so do I. Driven down the ground by Hashim Amla down towards long off. You know what we're talking about, Alex? You spent my time in Cape Town?
No. He's obviously a good friend of mine. I followed him, and what he keeps telling me, I remember 1 year in that South African tournament, he got man of the series, I think. He keeps telling me about that.
No, you just asked how I went. I just said, I just won man of the tournament.
Slog sweep here from du Plessis out towards deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, that's what happened, Alex. Just chucking some facts at you, mate.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good to see you doing well, mate. And, you did extremely well over in South Africa. You obviously went to the IPL, played for Rajasthan Royals, and, been a bit all over the place, didn't you?
20th over in progress here as Amla drives down the ground towards mid-off. Of course, when you played for the Cobras, the Champions League was still a thing, wasn't it? You would say you went and played in that for the Cobras as well, didn't you? You had a choice of a couple of teams.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. The Champions League that year was in Chennai. We had a very strong team.
Slog sweep again. Well, sort of, it's hit very hard by Faf du Plessis down behind square on the leg side. Not a slog sweep in the sense that he's gone in front of square over deep mid wicket, but he plays it as if it's going to be a slog sweep and then just plays it late and hits it down hard behind square on the leg side. 4 runs, du Plessis.
Beautiful batting that. Just the way he managed to roll his wrists on contact and trying to place the ball behind square, recognising there isn't a sweep man.
Off the back foot this time, punched down towards long on.
Yeah, just saying he recognised the fact that there wasn't a guy protecting the boundary behind square, so he just rolled the wrist on contact, making sure the ball spun and never let the guy in front of square have the chance to cut it off.
Siguke Prasanna with a slightly expensive over here. 8 off it with a ball to come. 20th over in progress. So this time Amla off the back foot, punches out towards cover. There's a dive and a half stop knocked on by that's Asela Ratna at cover, and they go through for a single. Amla is on to 39 from 48 balls. Faf du Plessis is 24 from 30. 20 overs gone. South Africa put into bat here by Sri Lanka, and they're 90 for 1. It was really interesting to hear what you saying, Oace, about the wicket not having that pace. It's just holding a bit, isn't it? Just a little bit of grip there for the seamers. That's exactly what the head groundsman told AB de Villiers yesterday. He said it's not going to be a 320 that we've seen in the warm-up games. He said it's more like 270, 280.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make is that, say, we had the England game a few days back, and all the preparation would have gone into that wicket, and that would have been covered and what have you, but at the same time, during the game, this pitch that we're on now would have had a whole day of sun on it. So then it's quite difficult for the groundsman to manage those wickets, so he's not going to be able to prepare a belter after belter. So these wickets are going to dry out, hence the ball is going to sit in the deck a little bit, which doesn't make stroke play that easy.
So a new over begins from Gunaratne, and it's punched off the back foot by Amla. Back foot initially, and then walking onto the front foot down towards long on for a single.
Just going back to the earlier conversation about the Champions League, I was fortunate enough to play with the likes of Del Steyn in our team, JP Duminy, Justin Kemp, who's played a lot of county cricket, has played international cricket as well, obviously for South Africa, and Charles Langeveld, current bowling coach for South Africa. We had
Gunaratne in, leg side, turned away by du Plessis, scampers through for a singles, looking for a second. He's coming back for the second. Good running, put the pressure, saw that it was Malinga, put the pressure on him. He knew that Malinga doesn't get down too quickly when he's running at full pace, and has come back for the second.
Yeah, that's fantastic batting, and sometimes not all about the big boundary shots. It's about manoeuvring the ball, hitting it into gaps and knowing the fielders, and he knew he was going up to Lasses, that he was hugging the boundary, hit it nicely, quick two, run that first one as quick as you can. He had a little look, gone. Fantastic batting by Flash du Plessis.
We'll find out how the Cobras did in that tournament. Oasis will tell us. It was a very strong team, as he said. Turned away by du Plessis for another one, and he turns quickly looking for the second, but doesn't get it this time. There's a different fielder out there now. They've changed him. It's Suranga Lakmal. So how did you go in that Champions League?
Unfortunately we didn't do that well. I mean, we had a very good team on paper. Geez, we had some very good players from South Africa. We had, not to forget, Herschel Gibbs. I mean, we had Herschel Gibbs opening the batting for us. But unfortunately we lost a couple of key games and ended up going home
turned away again
after round one. But yeah, I had an amazing time playing the 2020 stuff along with the South African team, Cape Cobras. Just going back to that 2 runs that they stole, I think this is where the fielders in the deep got to be very careful, and they got to read what the batsman's trying to do. They've got to look at their backlift, they've got to look at their footwork and what they're trying to achieve at the moment. If they don't see a high backlift, it's unlikely they're going to try and...
Gunaratne in, full leg stump, turned away for an easy single this time by du Plessis. That's all he's going to get, that's all he wants.
Yeah, they're unlikely going to try and play some big shots, so the guys on the boundary need to be at least another 6 or 7 yards in from the boundary, so that they're onto the fact that they're trying to steal 2s there. And it's just stuff like that. You've got to self-captain yourself when you're trying to play in the field. You can't just stand there, wait for the captain to move you. You've got to self-captain and try and anticipate.
Gunaratne once again, and that one is driven by Amla, slightly over-pitched, and it's just really pushed gently along the ground down to Kusal Perera at long on. They're through for another single. 21 overs gone, 97 for 1. You're listening to South Africa versus Sri Lanka in the ICC Champions Trophy, live on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio.
See, knowledge like that, Neil, is why my good friend got an international gig with UAE. You know, he would have been passing on that sort of knowledge and wisdom to the UAE players, and I think they did extremely well as well when Oasis had a little stint with them not too long ago. So you know, he's got a wealth of knowledge. I know we always have a little bit of joke on social media and things like that, but as you said, when he's been around the world playing in these massive competitions and with the calibre of players that he just mentioned and what he's been with, you're only going to pick up and learn. And obviously if he can impart that wisdom to the youngsters of today, they're only going to improve.
Are you out of the game long enough playing wise, Oasis, for the creative juices to have changed now, or do you still want to be out there?
Look, I always want to be out there. I still want to play, but no, look, I think time has come to move on to the next phase of my life.
So Prasanna continues, and this one is driven out to the man sweeping on the cover boundary for a single. South Africa moved to 98 for 1.
if there are, opportunities out there, I would love to, be maybe a consultant of some sort, or just be involved in the coaching setup. I would love to try and pass on the knowledge and work with guys and try and, even on a mental level, and not just, the technique side of it. I think the game is, in my view, probably 85-90%
punched at times, slapped really off the back foot by du Plessis again to the man sweeping on the cover boundary.
Yeah, I was just saying it's probably about 85-90% played in your head, and how you manage your head and your head space and your time and how you cope under pressure. For me, that's what I really enjoy.
Again, a little bit too short, and cut by Amla to backward point, straight to the fielder. Once again, Asela Gunaratne, backward point. There's no run. There's two men behind square in the offside. That one is too short, pulled away. Poor delivery, long hop, and he hasn't really got hold of it, strangely enough, Hashim Amla. It's airborne as it heads out towards deep mid-wicket. And he's only got two. It was a 4-ball, wasn't it, waiting to happen? It didn't happen.
I don't know how much time Hashim spends in the gym, but might have to just do a few more push-ups and stuff.
Really interesting that you bring that point up, actually, because he was not very well developed physically up until 3-4 years ago. 3 years ago, really. Short and wide cut, slap, it's misfielded by Gunaratne, and it's running away down towards backward point. It was hit very hard by Hashim Amla behind square on the offside, and it's just too quick for Gunaratne. It's gone through him, really, down to the boundary for 4. 3 years ago, Hashim Amla didn't play T20 cricket. He wanted to play IPL. He was told in no uncertain terms, you don't hit enough sixes. And that 6 down the ground 2 overs ago, down over long off, was a shot he never played up until he was 30, and he wasn't strong enough. So he's been pushing weights. He's a lot stronger, just physical strength. It's not like he doesn't know how to play that shot. Couldn't hit it far enough, couldn't hit it hard enough. 50 as Hashim Amla drives again off the front foot through the offside. 50 to Hashim Amla, 50 off 56 balls. And South Africa are 106 for 1 after 22.
Just on that, for the listeners out there, it's not about because he goes to the gym and lifts weights, he's all of a sudden got this strength to be able to hit sixes. What as a batsman you start achieving is, if you're strong, you can keep your shape on the shot for that much longer. So he's still going to rely on his timing, which Hashim Amla has always had. But what he can do is A, not get tired, and B, keep shape on his shots, which allows the bat pass to go through the ball for that much longer. Hence, you get the elevation over the infield, going for 1 bounce 4, or perhaps you got 6. And that's what we mean by he's gone to push weights and stuff like that. And also, secondly, mindset. What you have to do is have that mindset to say, right, if it's in my arc, I can check drive the ball and it will go for 6 because I'm that much little bit stronger and be able to time the ball and keep my shape on the shot. That's what going to the gym allows you to do.
Clear about one thing is that when I say he went and pushed weights, they weren't heavy weights. They were quite light weights, just a lot of them. Lots and lots of reps of light. So he's not like muscle bound now. He doesn't look much different.
So he's not like Alex Tudor, who's he's been in the gym for the last
pushing heavy weights.
yeah, he looks like he just lives in the gym.
Oh, you're too kind, always too kind.
106 for 1 here at the Kia Oval after 22 overs. You were talking about the mental side of the game, and I was going to ask you one more thing as Lassit Malinga comes back into the attack, and it's full and straight and flicked away off his pads. Beautifully timed again by Hashim Amla, and he's got 4 runs for that. Beautifully placed, full on leg stump, rather than punching it through mid-wicket with the fine leg up, he's just tickled it round the corner. Now, you were both talking about South Africa's run rate, and for me, the one thing that is obvious is that South Africa are playing to win this game, not to win it big, not to score as meant. They are purely playing for the win. Like when they played a 5-match series against Sri Lanka at the end of the year, they pushed the boundaries. Here is Amla pushing it defensively behind square on the offside, and if they thought they could get 300, they went for 320. If they were heading for 350, they pushed for 400. It was a 5-match bilateral series. Sri Lanka were gone. They'd had a shocking tour. Here, it's quite clear to me that they're playing the game to win it.
Well, it's a Champions Trophy. I mean, if you don't, you have to win all your games to progress through to the group, to the semi-final stage. So you feel so much more at stake.
Malenga again, full, and again flicked away off his pads by Amla out towards deep backward square leg. You know what I mean, though? With Morne Morkel in the attack, they've picked their strongest bowling attack. They're not taking any chances with the all-rounders. They are just playing max, and if they think they can win it with an 80% performance, they will.
I think when you're in tournament play, that's what needs to happen. Gone are the days where let's see how he goes and stuff like that. I think that's obviously sensible. They've been burnt before in previous World Cups and Champions Trophy, and they're going to make sure that mistake is not going to happen again.
Here is Malenga, and guided very skillfully by Amla down towards third man for a single.
And that's something you can do in a series like South Africa just a few weeks ago against England. Had a look at some other options, and Morne Morkel didn't play all the games. He only came in for the last game. You can afford to do that, and like Alex said, once you're in a tournament, especially like the Champions Trophy, you've got to be firing on all cylinders from ball one. And that's just how the nature of the tournament is, which makes it a very exciting tournament. I know it's quite a small tournament, but it makes it very exciting, and it's all or nothing.
Exactly. As you say, I mean, every chance you really do have to win every game. You can get through losing one game in the group stage, but you can also be knocked out. As a full wide Yorker from Malenga is pushed out square of the wicket on the offside by du Plessis straight to backward point. There's no run.
Yes, a nice little passage of play here at the moment for South Africa. They've picked up the scoring rate. I think they're recognising the fact that they're nearly coming up to the halfway stage, and they need to try and get as close as possible to 150 as they can, trying to get that minimum target of 300, and if you get anything more on top of that.
Malenga, bouncer, pulled away by du Plessis. Brilliant fielding at short fine leg. Fantastic. That looked like it was going for 4, and it's acknowledged by a couple of the other Sri Lankans. Who was that? Kusal Mendis?
No, Gunaratne, I think.
Gunaratne.
Yeah.
Brilliant, wasn't it? Dive, full length dive. Got one hand to it, stopped a certain 4.
Tell you what, I don't care who it was, but it was magnificent. How good was that?
That's the modern game now, isn't it? I mean, gone are the days of, as Timel says, in the 70s, cheeky. Sort of the 80s, when you were watching, your fast bowlers or whatever, when they were fine leg. They want to be making diving stops like that, but everyone's an athlete now. Everyone works really hard on their fitness and trains extremely hard, and he's just saved his team 3 runs there. As you said, that was that could have been a serious over for South Africa, as the Waste alluded to. They've stepped up the pace. They know they need to put the gas on a little bit and get a few more runs.
New over begins from Prasanna from the pavilion end, and it's driven by du Plessis out towards cover. We'll say goodbye momentarily for the next half an hour to Alex Tudor and Oais Shah as Faf du Plessis fetches one from outside off stump, slog sweeps it out towards deep mid wicket, and the ball trickles into the boundary foams now. Clever shot, not particularly pretty, but it's extremely effective. Timewell Mills replaces 2 men with himself, and nobody's more capable of doing that than Timewell Mills. But he's fetched that from a long way. That shot really was played on the basis that that's where the gap is, and I have to find a way to get the ball into the gap, no matter where it's bowled. And now Sri Lanka have plugged it. There's a man at deep mid wicket, which means there's an extra gap on the offside. So will Faf du Plessis try and find that gap now on the offside? Here is Prasanna once again, and he does. It's short and wide and cut out towards deep cover, almost deep extra cover. He's well in front of square. It's definitely South Africa hitting the accelerator now, Timel.
Yeah, and we when me and you were on the air at the start of the day, and we were speaking about how circumspect Kock and Amla were, and obviously Kock didn't manage to kick on, but Amla certainly made up for that in the last 5 overs especially.
Full here from Prasanna. Amla plays back and pushes it defensively out in the onside. So much power to come in the middle order that it's no surprise to see Faf du Plessis looking to push on. 35 from 39 balls. Hashim Amla 57 or 61, and this one is tickled away out in the onside. Terrific fielding. Asela Gunaratne really has excelled in the field. Actually, that it was him, Gunaratne. But the other live wire in the field is Kusal Mendis. But they've got a couple of slower ones, the fast bowlers, dare I say. Lassit Malinga certainly doesn't get down too quickly when he's at full pace with his old knees of his. Oh, Hashim Amla down the wicket and hoiked it over deep mid-wicket for 6. So that's exactly what we're talking about, the strength, the muscle conditioning that he didn't used to have in the first 5 or 6 years of his career that he has now. That's a long hit.
Yeah, and he manoeuvred that as well. There was a bit of a gap at deep mid-wicket. There was long on and deep square leg, but there was a gap, and the ball was well outside the off stump, but he kind of shuffled down the wicket and made a movement across to the offside, as he often does, and manoeuvred it out to the leg side boundary, and cleared the right by a couple of metres. Kind of takes his strike rate now to 100. He's now going to run a ball, and in those first power play overs at the start, he was well behind that, so he's managed to catch up well, and him and Duplessis are putting in a great partnership at the moment. Duplessis 35 off 39, and he's done that without taking any risks, really, you'd say. It's been quite a controlled innings so far.
Lassit Malinga, second over of his second spell. Oh, and it goes past the outside edge, only because Faf du Plessis was trying to run it down to third man. So 100 in the last 10 is no longer eyebrow raising, is it? Well, it is, yeah. We still raise our eyebrows, but I mean,
as a bowler, you always raise your eyebrows.
But it used to be a kind of, your chin would hit the table when you saw 100 off the last 10 overs. But that's what South Africa aim for now. I mean, they've got 7 or more wickets left. They are disappointed with less than 100 in the last 10. Here is Malinga once again, and worked away by Duplessis out on the onside. There must have been times, Timel, when you finished a T20 game and you've gone for 8 and over and thought, I've done well. Have there been times like that?
Yeah, there is, and there still is, because if you just playing in India, for example, you're playing on a small ground against some of the best batters in the world, off flat wicket. That is a good game sometime.
Malinga runs away from us from the Vauxhall end, and that's a slower one down the leg side. He's lost control of that, and out go the arms of Ian Gould, the umpire. He'll have to bowl that one again. You're listening to TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio with a Champions Trophy game between Sri Lanka and South Africa.
Yeah, as my general rule of thumb when I'm playing any T20 game around the world, if I've gone for over 30 in my 4 overs, I'm a bit angry with myself. That's kind of the benchmark that I've set myself. I know that's not always realistic. As I said, some days you're going to play on some really small grounds on a really flat pitch, and sometimes 40, 35 will be a good day.
Turned away for a single out on the onside by Faf du Plessis. Doesn't feel like it though, does it?
No, not at all. But
it's like when you make a 3-putt birdie on a par 5. Everyone goes, well, you know what? I mean, or a 3-putt par. You hit the green in 2, and it's like, well, it's par, but no.
Yeah, so that's kind of the standard that I hold myself to in terms of figures, and I'm sure bowlers will, depending on the different formats, and it will be the same. But there are so many variables in cricket, and the game is, it is geared more towards batsmen. Unfortunately, the bowlers are just there to service them sometimes. But I think we often got to see it as a way there to spoil the party for them.
Malinga steered this time successfully by Hashim Amla for a single down to third man. 128 for 1. How often would you say you've worked out the perfect delivery? You know exactly what you're going to bowl. You've delivered it absolutely perfectly. You cannot bowl it any better, and it still goes for 4.
Oh, it happens every game, you'd say. Often, you find a York, you nail a Yorker, and they get a Chinese cut, and it goes down, kind of just past the keeper for 4, or you nail a Yorker and they ramp it over the keeper's head for 6. It's a fickle game sometimes, cricket.
Malinga, that one is driven in. I think it's a bump ball. The crowd ooh and ah. It's a crowd catch. It's a spectacular diving half stop at backward point by Asela Gunaratne, but I think that was a bump ball. Was it? Was it a bump
just
ball?
Looking at the replay now, it looks like he's hit it straight into the ground. The crowd are always interested in that one from where they're sat. But just going back to the point before, it works both ways though, because as a bowler you can bowl some terrible balls and they get wickets, so you can't you've got to try and stay as level as you can. You can bowl a half tracker outside the off stump, and he'll hit it straight to deep point, and you look like a genius. But you just got to try and stay as level as you can.
Malinga in again, back of a length this time, and turned away by Amla behind square on the leg side for an easy single. 130 for one at the halfway stage. So, what's the most important number to you there? 130 for one or 25 overs?
130 for one. The one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, only one down. As I said, still with Villiers, David Miller, JP Duminy, Chris Morris, all in the shed, ready to go. All with a platform built for them now that they can come in. They're not having to scratch around. They're not having to play tentatively. They can come in, they can be positive, and they can look to take advantage of what's a good pitch. Not massive boundaries, slightly shorter one side than the other, but they can look to come out here and really be positive. And obviously, I played with AB de Villiers in Bangalore this year. Saw him play some great innings, and he's done that all around the world. Throughout his career, and that's not even speaking about the two men at the crease now. Hashim Amla in the IPL this year, I played against him also, and he whacked us everywhere pretty easily, kind of just flicked us and deflected us and chased the game down for them in the game we played against Kings 11. So South Africa will definitely be the happier team here. Sri Lanka did really well at the start. They contained really well without taking many wickets, but this last 10-15 overs, South Africa have really kind of put the foot down and took control of the game. I'd say if any team was really in control of this game now, it'd be them.
Of most importance though, Timel, is did you see AB de Villiers play guitar?
I heard about it. I didn't actually see him, no. He told us he was practicing a lot in his room, and he had his family over for quite a while as well. But no, unfortunately I didn't get a showing.
Well, I assume you'll be on the same team again next year in the IPL. Make a point of it.
I will do. I'll give him a shout.
Don't let him sing though. He can play guitar. He's
not a singer.
Well, have you heard his record?
I haven't. Didn't know he had one.
Okay, well, yeah, no, he's an album in which he wrote the songs as well.
Fair.
So he plays,
talented man,
sings his own songs. Just the one album. Make Your Dreams Come True was his hit record in South Africa. That's the single.
How is this South African music?
It's in Afrikaans. It's all in Afrikaans. How's your Afrikaans? Okay.
Not strong, no. Not strong. I've been to South Africa 3 or 4 times, but not. I've been to Potchefstroom quite a few times, which is a very Afrikaans.
Well, you would have picked up a bit of Afrikaans there, I'm sure.
But I can't say I'm fluent, I'm afraid.
And the bits you do know probably wouldn't be broadcastable.
Definitely not.
25 overs gone. We've had a wee drinks break, sort of an informal one really, but everybody joined in. And we're off again at the halfway stage of the first innings. 25 overs gone, 130 for one. The bowler is Selagunratna, and Faf du Plessis turns it away for a single behind square on the leg side. It's 300, isn't it? It's 300 conditions.
Yeah. And in any game now, you look at this tournament, if a team hasn't got 300, you're probably gonna say they're under par. And if you saw with England, Bangladesh got 300 in the first game here, and Bangladesh walked off probably thinking they were still slightly short, and that obviously proved the case as England knocked it off pretty comfortably, 2 down.
Du Plessis pushes this one out towards mid-wicket. I mean, it's funny, that how those of us who I suppose I've been watching and describing the game for the last quarter of a century, so I'm quite slow to get with the modern age. And so Bangladesh has scored 300, and I thought, whoa, this could be interesting. And England have just walked it, haven't they? I've never seen them 300 runs run chase look so easy. Du Plessis plays this with enormous skill. It's beautifully he's tucked it away off his pads, but deliberately softly. He's taken the pace off the ball in order to be able to run back for the second run. If he'd hit that any firmer down to Saranga Lakmal at deep backward square leg, it would have just been a single. Very cleverly, skillfully done by Du Plessis. Moves to 39 or 45 deliveries. Plays the same shot again, but this time it's rolling across all the squares. It's quicker, all the old strips, pitches, and it gets to the fielder a bit sooner. It's just a single.
Yeah, it looked like they're lacking a little bit of penetration now. This attack from Sri Lanka. They've left out they've got a left arm wrist spinner who I understand has done pretty well the last few months. They've gone with Prasanna, who's more kind of just a a googly and slider bowler, not a big spinner of the ball, and Gunaratne here, who's kind of a medium pace cutter bowler. So their attack here, they haven't got an out and out real dangerous spinner, which we've become used to seeing from Sri Lanka over the various
years. The Chinaman, Lakshan Sandakan. Yeah. And Angelo Mathews pointed him out as the key man against South Africa 2 days ago, and they haven't picked him. Left him out.
He might be ill, you never know. He might have woken up this morning and been a bit sick. But over the years you associate Sri Lanka. Obviously you had Muralitharan for years, but then like Ajantha Mendis and other guys like that have really been a strength for Sri Lanka. But they've come into this game now with obviously some decent pace bowlers and then a couple of bits and pieces, spin and all rounders. And it looks like they're struggling for penetration.
Do you remember the days when Sri Lanka used to, no matter who they picked, they had 5 spinners?
Yeah.
But these days they've got 5 wicket-keepers. They've got 3 wicket-keepers playing today, including the one who's captain. They've got Dinesh Chandimal and Upul Tharanga. He's kept a bit as well, hasn't he? And Nirashanti Kwela's keeping today. Anyway, more from Tymal Mills, and then it'll be Phil Walker.
Yeah, 136 for 1 here at the Oval. The sun coming down on us here in central West London. Phil Walker joins me back on the mic.
Afternoon, Tamal. You enjoying this?
Yeah, great day out. It's just someone on the TV in a Sussex shirt, so good to see the people being represented all around. My boys are going well down. I was down at Hove yesterday, saw the boys scoring some runs. It's been nice to be back in the country and being around them.
And I guess you'll be involved from next month for the 20 over stuff with Sussex.
Yeah, well, we've got 3 T20 internationals against South Africa at the end of the month, so still trying to shake off a couple of niggles, but hopefully I'll be back fit for them, and then I'll be back in with Sussex as of 9th of July. I think our game is when the T20 blast starts, and be playing all throughout July and August. Really looking forward to getting back in a Sussex shirt.
24 balls a day. Not bad work if you can get it. Tymal Mills, T20 sensation. He doesn't like me saying that, but it's true. Obscenely quick through the air, and an ever-swelling wallet these days. Anyway, 136 for 1, 26 gone. And Lakmal back into the attack, and this one's dragged down, and Du Plessis, who is so lethal on the pull shot at the best of times, has simply climbed into that and clobbered it through mid-wicket, and of course it runs away on this pristine, lightning-fast oval outfield, and that's another boundary. Du Plessis races on to 45 from 48, and since de Kock's departure earlier on, Du Plessis, the skipper, has come in and really injected a little bit of energy into this innings. It was needed at the time, and now at 140 for 1, just a touch past halfway, 26 and a bit gone. They're in a pretty strong position now, South Africa.
Yeah, and what we speak about as a bowler is all throughout your innings, especially at the death, but all throughout your innings is your first and your last ball. And Lakmal's come in there, and first ball, bit of a drag down, not really with any conviction, and he's gone. He's been punished for 4, and that puts you under the pump straight away. In the first part of your over, you've gone for 4, and you're facing an uphill battle now to claw it back.
This one again short, not quite as short, and Du Plessis can only kind of bottom edge it, if you like, through to the man on the boundary, but another easy enough single, and he moves through the 40s now. Faf Du Plessis, it's been an impressive knock this, and Amla, serene as ever, of course, just ambles through. Yet another day at the office. 67 at exactly a run a ball, 4 4s, 2 6s, and he's now on strike. To Lakmal, opening bowler, back on, this time from the Vauxhall end. He began, of course, at the Pavilion end, and this one is wide outside off stump, and Amla tries to dab it down behind square on the offside. No contact this time. Slightly indeterminate shot by Hashim Amla, which we don't often say. Yeah, it's bubbling away nicely, this one. The crowd is now pretty much full up. I'd say 9/10 full here at the Oval. The sun's beaming down. It's a time to be alive here, folks. It's beautiful, and of course you're listening to South Africa versus Sri Lanka in the ICC Champions Trophy live on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio as Lakmal comes in again. And this time is another short one, and Amla goes on the pull. Doesn't get all of it, and there's a man out on the boundary riding there at deep square, and so just another single. But the lack of a real strong 4th, 5th bowler for Sri Lanka is being shown up here, Tamal.
Yeah, it looks like they've tried to maybe give themselves a little bit more of a depth in the batting. I think Gunaratne scored, didn't he make a few really good innings against Australia in some T20 series at the start of the year, so maybe looking forward to seeing what he can do later with the bat. But then as a result, they're having to use him as their 5th bowler, and he's your bits and pieces bowler. He bowls your off cutter, your leg cutter, your little dibbly dobblers, not hugely threatening for the batter.
Blackmount, another short one, somewhat telegraphed, and du Plessis hanging on that back foot, and again it's easy as you like through the onside. 2 more. Yeah, Gunaratne 4 overs for 29 with his bits and pieces bowling, something of a throwback really to the good old days of ODI cricket when you'd get a batsman to squeeze a few overs out. Blackmount on the other hand has been pretty tidy, as indeed has Pradeep, who bowled first change, and Malinga. Unfortunately, after those top 3 seamers, it's a somewhat threadbare attack at the minute for Sri Lanka. They're hanging in there. 144 for 1, South Africa, and another short one. And again, carbon copy stuff, just picking out the man on the boundary as du Plessis, easy as you like, rolls his wrists on the pull shot.
Getting his match fees work, isn't he, at deep square leg? He's fielded every ball, I think, this over. They obviously had a little plan to maybe test the batters out with some short pitch bowling, but again, not really the real pace to threaten these batters on what is a good pitch and who are 2 very good and very well set batters at the crease.
Indeed they are. 145 for 1, and they are putting together a pretty significant platform here, South Africa. Obviously with the likes of AB, the big hitting southpaw David Miller as well, and Chris Morris, who hits an obscenely big ball. He'll be in at 7 or 8. Yeah, they've got real power down the pipe, South Africa. This is the platform that they would have been planning for at the start. Sri Lanka, meanwhile, they're honest, but they're toiling somewhat at the minute. And again, Gunaratne, right arm round, trying to cramp the batsman for room. But that is du Plessis' 50 as he just plonks it gently as you like out to deep mid-wicket. And there it is, 52 deliveries for his half-century. Just 4 boundary 4s played within himself, but absolutely in control, the skipper, who continues to grow in stature as an international cricketer, Faf du Plessis. Many good judges rate him as the finest captain South Africa have had in quite a few years, probably since Graham Smith departed, and he is stepping up as ever for his side. Amla back on strike and working it, all wrists off the hip. Slightly airborne past the man at square leg, but no real danger, and another easy as you like single out to the man at deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, Gunaratne with his field here, and the way he's bowling right arm round the wicket to a right-handed batsman, and he's stacked the leg side field. He's got 3 men out on the boundary at long on, deep mid-wicket and deep square leg, and then 2 men, one catching at another short mid-wicket and a guy at short fine leg. So he's literally looking just to get if he's going to get a wicket, it's going to be caught in the leg side. That's the only area he's giving the batsman opportunity to hit at the moment.
Yeah, it's a containing job to the nth degree here by Sri Lanka, as another leg stump half volley is played easy as you like into the vast expanses on the leg side. Another single to Amla. Correction, du Plessis moves on to 51, bringing Amla back on strike. He's 69 from 70, going about his business with all the calm and composure you've come to expect from the great man. And another single yet again into that mid-wicket region. Yeah, it's almost like Sri Lanka have accepted their fate with this one, that Gunaratne is going to be tasked with plodding through 10 overs, and if he can walk off with no more than 70 odd to his name, then they'll kind of consider that to be a half decent result, really.
Yeah, and with they're just looking through their lineup at the moment, there's not even anybody else that you think could come on. I think, as you said, I think 2 of the other fielders that are out there at the moment are wicket keepers, so then it's not exactly they're going to be coming on to bowl. So they've decided with the 5 they've got, and Angelo Mathews is a massive miss for them. Obviously, not only is their captain probably their best batter, but he often opens the bowling for them as well. Swings the new ball, not any great pace or anything, but is a skillful bowler, and in English conditions can move the ball. So he's a huge loss for them, both as a captaincy role, as a batter and as a bowler.
That he is. Big loss, Angelo Mathews. 5 deliveries from this over, 5 singles all into the onside, and make that 6 out of 6. As Amla just ambles up to the non-striker's end, moves on to 71 from 72. Barely broken sweat yet, Hashim. And how he loves batting at the Oval. Averages something ridiculous in Test cricket after 311 not out, I think it was, here in 2012.
Helps the average, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And he's remorseless when he gets in. He just keeps on going. Has an eye for the big one, of course, Hashim Amla. So, 151 for 1 from 28. And South Africa are doing this pretty tidily now. What do you think is a chaseable target? What will Sri Lanka settle for at this stage? 22 overs still to go. South Africa only one down and already past the 150 mark.
Well, if they somehow manage to keep them to in and around 300, below 320, they're going to be very happy with that from here, as absurd as that sounds. But with them only being one down and with the batters they've got to come, something's got to go very wrong for South Africa, in my opinion, to not score in excess of 320 with the run rate they're going at the moment. They're getting 270 at a canter. Obviously, then they go 10 and over, which we know is possible at the end of an innings. But if they got up to that in what would be a great show for us, and everybody watching the last 10 overs, then you're getting a score of 350 plus, which is well in the reach of this team with the platform that they've set now and with the batters they've still got to come.
Blackmal in again, 7th over for the opening bowler, and in that corridor that he's hit more often than not today so far, and Amla just angles one down behind square for a single. So yeah, 8 and over from here on in to Mal Mills, gets us to 327. 10 and over, which is probably a little bit optimistic, gets you up to 370. But as you say, they are cruising towards that 300 mark as a bare minimum at this stage. I was here earlier in the week to see Australia-Sri Lanka warm-up game, and Sri Lanka batted nicely and got up to 340 odd before Australia knocked it off in the final over. So they know their way around a score, Sri Lanka, and they do like playing here, of course, historically. As du Plessis climbs into another pull shot, another rather telegraphed short one by Lakmal, and he'll pick up a couple into the onside. Didn't quite get all of it. He's lethal on that pull shot though, Faf du Plessis. He's set up for it, and if you look at his wagon wheel, there's nothing down the ground whatsoever, barely anything behind square on the offside, and a hell of a lot bunted and flicked and punched through mid-wicket. That's the way he plays. He knows his method, he knows his technique, and he commits to it with all the conviction that you'd expect from a South African captain. More guts than a slaughterhouse floor, I saw him described as not too long ago. I like that one, that's a good one.
And they've fed that as well, haven't they? They've bowled a lot of back of the length and short pitch bowling at him, and he's been more than happy to get a few boundaries away for the ones that he's really timed, and the other ones he's just helped on their way and picked up his ones, turned a few ones into twos, which is always key in 50 over cricket especially.
Blackmal in again, and this time du Plessis runs down the wicket at him, rather loses his shape, and a kind of late swinging delivery as well outside off stump, and in the end it's a fresh air shot. Du Plessis like Southern Russia blood. Maybe he's looking at the wickets in hand column, recognising the power they've got behind him, and maybe just thinking it's time to really press on the accelerator. Although he's ticking over nicely enough at a runner ball anyway. 54 from 56 for the skipper. Amla 72 from 73, 154 for 1. Sri Lanka versus South Africa at the ICC Champions Trophy, live on air with TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio, and another short one yet again by Lakmal. It's telegraphed, and this time Mendis does a decent job at deep square to keep it down to 2. But it's fodder, is it not, to Mal Mills at this stage, feeding a player who relishes the short one in at the body. He's set up for it technically. What's the thinking here? With only one man out, only 4 men on the leg side, and he's exploring the middle of the pitch.
Yes, as I said, this whole attack's looked since after that first 10 overs, and obviously the ball's got a bit softer now. They look like they're struggling to know where to take wickets, as the bowler and his captain are having a long chat at the moment, just stood at mid-off and deciding what changes to make in the field. As he brings fine leg up and sticks deep cover out, so he's got another man out on the offside now, which would suggest he's going to be pitching the ball up a bit more. So we'll see if that is the case. But it looks like they're in a bit of two minds about where to go at the moment.
And this one is short and wide outside off stump. Du Plessis anticipating it and just cuffs it away to the man that's just been positioned out there on the boundary at deep square. And so another single. It's a stroll in the park at the minute for these two South African top order players, Amla and Du Plessis. And the crowd, just a kind of becalmed hum as we speak at the Oval. They're anticipating the pyrotechnics to come in the last 10 to 15. AB de Villiers looms large on this innings. He'll be next man in. Blackmal in again, and this one outside off stump, the more traditional line and length, which has proved pretty useful for him for most of the day. Arguably he should be maintaining that kind of line, and Amla can't make any connection on the attempted back cut, and so a dot ball to finish. 157 for 1, 29 gone. Live and exclusive coverage of Sri Lanka versus South Africa ICC Champions Trophy live on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio. You're listening to myself, Phil Walker. Jamal Mills is just exiting the box, and in due course Clive Lloyd will be joining us. So 157 for 1, 29 gone, 21 overs remaining in this innings. It's the kind of platform you dream of, really, for this South African side. One note of caution, perhaps. Bangladesh set themselves an excellent platform here 2 days ago against England. They were only 2 down going into the last 10 overs, and yet rather spluttered towards the end and only just got over the 300 mark, and in the end it was quite a comfortable chase by the English batsmen. South Africa, you can't imagine that they will splutter towards the back end of this innings with the amount of hitting power that they have, but it remains to be seen. Sri Lanka holding their own just about. A somewhat toothless attack up to a point. Bowlers 4 and 5 are more batsmen who bowl rather than the other way round. And Gunaratne, point in fact, coming in for his 6th over from the pavilion end this time. 36 from 5.1 for Gunaratne. He's an honest trier, but his real talents lie with the bat, which we shall see later on. Explosive player in the middle order. Player Sri Lanka are very excited about. 158 for 1. As Gunaratne ambles in again, right arm round, trying to cramp both batsmen for room, but it's not really working so far, and there's singles everywhere available on the leg side, and this time Amla actually strolls back for a couple, working it off that hip yet again. When has he ever missed one off the hip, Hashim Amla? He's a joy to watch, one of the great stylists of world cricket. How do you see this so far, Clive? Decent position for South Africa to go berserk over the next 20 overs.
Yes, I think so. The platform is set here now for the lower players.
And it's going to ratter in again. This one a little bit more air, and a leading edge by Hashim Amla. Just evades the man at extra cover, short extra, who didn't put the dive in the end, but it wasn't far from him. That would have been a surprising and dream wicket for the toiling Sri Lankans, but just evaded the man. And so Amla concedes the strike to his skipper, moves on to 75 from 76, and he's homing in on yet another 3-figure score, you would imagine. This time Du Plessis angles it behind square, and despite the fact that Malinga is there on the edge of the circle on the offside, 45, it's an easy single. Du Plessis, a master of the drop and run, electric between the sticks, of course, Du Plessis, and he moves on himself to 59. Gunaratne again, trying his heart out for his side, right arm round, and another one giving it a lot of air, and Amla for once can't bisect the infield. A cherished dot ball for Sri Lanka. 162 for 1 in the 30th. As Gunaratne plods back to his mark, a kind of shambling run up, right arm round, slightly off the wrong foot, and again cramping Amla for room, but he'll easily enough find a single behind square this time on the leg side. 30 gone then, 1-6-3 for 1. So current run rate, Clive, gets them up to 272. Naturally enough, they will eclipse that almost certainly. 8 and over gets you up to 323. What do you think is realistic from here?
Yes, I would think anywhere near just over 300, because they really do have some very good strikers of the ball. Miller, you have Duminy, you have the Villiers, you have guys there who can really sort of do damage, and the platform is just set for them, and the kick is playing a little bit better now. It would be much better as the days go on. The moisture would be sort of out of the pitch as such, and they have bowlers too that can exploit anything that is just giving them a bit of purchase. So I would think that this is not familiar territory for these two players, Plessis and Amla. They're accustomed to making hundreds, and it's obvious this is the type of situation that they revel in. So I really think that they'll get to 300. I'd be very disappointed if they don't.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. You listen to the thoughts of the great Clive Lloyd and myself, Phil Walker, on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio. South Africa versus Sri Lanka, day 3 of the ICC 2017 Champions Trophy, and at a drinks break after 30 overs, South Africa are sitting pretty, 1-6-3 for 1. So Clive, are you with us for the duration of the tournament? Are you in England right till the final on the 18th?
I'll be here, yes. I'm not so sure I'll be touring, but I'll be here most of I was told, for the games in London, which is quite nice. I hope that the weather holds, actually, so I can keep up my tan.
You're looking good to me, Clive. Yeah, the weather tends to hold in South London, less so in Birmingham. My word, it's a microclimate up there. It seems poor old Edgbaston is constantly being drenched, and it's hitting them hard as well with certain international games that have been affected in recent years. Down here, however, down here in the good old south of England, it remains a beautiful cloudless sky, and we'll be fine for the weather today. Of course, the final will be here 2 weeks tomorrow on the 18th. Who do you fancy to be seeing in that final? You knew it was coming.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. I think about 4 teams, actually. I do think South Africa, they're top of the hill at the moment. You have England, they're playing at home, have a lot of support. If they don't get any more injuries, that's the other thing about it. It's a side that has less injuries, and the side with, sort of that sort of form that you expect in this sort of competition. It should be quite interesting. You have India, they too can, and New Zealand. New Zealand is playing quite. And over the years, New Zealand's they've always possessed pretty good one-day cricketers. Everybody's doing something. If you bat, you can bowl a bit. If you can bowl, you can bat a bit. So there would be. I said yesterday, I thought they would have 340 was the total I thought they would have achieved, but they didn't. But 291, and they looked in pretty good, in control at 35 for 3. So it's quite interesting. I love the tournament. I really do like this sort of tournament, because if you fall too early, you can still come back and have a good total and make a game of it. But in the shorter games, you don't have that sort of situation. So I like this competition, and I hope that it is kept, because look at the crowds. They'll get much larger as the weeks go on.
Indeed, it's a short and sharp tournament. All killer, no filler. The ICC Champions Trophy. Final course here at the Oval on the 18th. Should be an absolute humdinger. Clive, dare I ask, will the folks back in the Caribbean be watching this tournament with interest? Will it be focusing a few minds, do you think, the fact that the West Indies aren't here with us?
Yes, and I got some calls from people. They've been watching the cricket, and this, regards the guys are not, they're disappointed, yes, but they still want to watch good cricket, and I'm sure that we'll have some excellent cricket as the days go on.
No doubt about it. We're almost ready to resume here, folks, and looking like Prasanna, the leggy, is going to be brought back into the attack. 6 overs for 42 he went for earlier. Didn't bowl especially badly. Amla got stuck into him once or twice, bunted him, of course, over straight mid-wicket for one of 2 maximums that Amla has so far effortlessly deposited over the boundary rope here at the Oval. So yeah, 6 overs for 42, Prasanna. He's not quite as yet in the league of other great Sri Lankan spinners. It's a big ask for him to lead the attack, lead the slow bowling attack. Of course, Hirath no longer available to the one-day side, and Murali, of course, will be watching on, no doubt, from a corporate box somewhere here today. One of the all-timers, Murali Duran. As Amla this time to the second delivery, having blocked his first one, flicks it imperiously off his pads, but straight to the man at deep mid-wicket, and so he moves on serenely enough to 77 now from just 80 deliveries. He'll be eyeing something in the region of 140, 150 if he bats through the 50. That's what he tends to do, Hashim Amla. He is one of the modern greats. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Able to adjust to any format that he plays without seeming to really have to overhaul his technique. He made 2 fabulous hundreds in the recent IPL without changing his technique at all, as du Plessis this time crashes one over, extra cover, and although not perfectly timed, runs away over this glycerine outfield and into the boundary rope for another boundary 4. And it's becoming hard yakka now for these Sri Lankan fieldsmen. Du Plessis has come in with great intent after a rather ponderous de Kock innings earlier, and he's raced on now to 63 from 61, and this time better length by the leggy Prasanna, but he'll still find it a single, and in fact come back for a second. Du Plessis so quick between the sticks, and he is uncontainable really at the moment. Du Plessis 170 for 1, just 30.4 overs gone after a slow and ponderous start. South Africa have really been quite dominant over the last 20 overs. A bit more air this time, leg side, and Du Plessis just angles it into the onside for an easy single. Moves on to 65 from 62. And Prasanna rather neutered out there, the leggy. Not really much appreciable turn, certainly not laterally. He has a kind of uncomplicated approach, not much of a run-up. Just a jump in delivery stride, and this time it's wide outside off stump, and Amla can't quite pierce the tightly packed field just behind square on the offside, and a dot ball to finish 171 for 1.
And you must compliment these 2 batsmen, because their running between the wickets has been excellent. They're picking up their tools quite easy, and you can do that with this sort of this ground. It's very big. Difficult to defend, as I said in the last couple of days, since when I was here a couple of days ago. The point is that means that if you can beat the infield, you can get those those 2s and 3s. You don't have to try and hit everything out of the ground as the Sri Lankan, as the Bangladeshis were doing, and it cost them dearly, because it's got to be a very good hit to clear these boundaries. But they've played very professionally, and they've sort of picking the gap, finding the gaps, piercing the field quite well.
Sri Lanka will be persisting with Gunaratne, who's bowling right arm round, little lob deliveries almost, and this time Amla, Du Plessis, correction, works it from outside off stump, again through those vacant expanses on the leg side, and another easy single, so 67 Du Plessis, 77 to Amla, who's back on strike. Gunaratne trying his utmost, but as we've said, he is in there for his batting primarily, asked to do a job with the ball, and he's doing it manfully, but somewhat toothless in truth, as Amla settles in 77 from 81, and another flighted delivery outside is off stump, and Amla again trying to work it, engineer it into that onside, but he picks out the man straight at mid-wicket, and so no dice just there. tightly packed leg side field. The plan is pretty clear. Right arm round to two right-handed batsmen, pack the onside and hope for the best. This time Amla goes harder. This time he's just eluded the two men out, and in fact that's going to run away for four. Didn't get all of it, but it was there to hit Amla, and he works it easy as you like behind square. In fact, 2 or 3 bounces running away for his 5th boundary four to complement 2 sixes. He's making it look very, very easy. You're listening to Sri Lanka versus South Africa at the ICC Champions Trophy live from the Oval on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio. He's just coming in for his 4th delivery now, Gunaratne, and again Amla easy as you like, and another single behind square on the onside. With a few more thoughts from Clive Lloyd, after which it'll be Chetan Narula.
Well, it's obvious that South Africa is now moving into top gear. They're now picking their spots, and they're just moving into the type of mode that you expect, and I presume it will be the charge of the heavy brigade in the last 12 or so overs.
Right, it's Hashim Amla who's scored 82 of 84, and this is his 4th half century in 2017. He's yet to get 100, so might just go the distance today. He's the one on strike, facing Asela Gunaratne, who's coming round the wicket, who's continued to come round the wicket, this time onto his middle leg and just turned it away towards the fielder at square leg, just crossing over for 1 run. At the end of 32 overs then, it's 179 for 1. Just a 1 wicket lost by South Africa, and they'll be hoping for nothing less than 300. The projected score at 6 and over is 287. We can assume that they can go a few more than that.
Yes, I would think so. They'll be looking for 3-something, 320, 330, and they can get that if they continue in this manner. They're picking their gaps nicely. They've now got a feel of what's happening with the bowlers. They don't seem to be in any trouble, and when you look at it, the batters that they have to come, you're sure that 300 is a possibility.
Plessis has also had a great 2017. He's on the non-strikers and 68 of 65 currently. He started slow, but then he's taken his strike rate to 104.6, and he's had 450s and 200s in this year already. Meanwhile, it's Sekuge Prasanna who's continuing from the Vauxhall end outside the off stump and driven down towards the fielder at deep extra cover. Just a 1 run added. Changes ends does Amla, and it'll be du Plessis on strike. Amla on 84. We have backward point, a traditional point, extra cover, deep cover, as on the off stump, just turning away as the fielder at mid-on was a bit deeper, so the batsman hurry along for a single. The fielder having a bit of a shy, but du Plessis was perhaps a tad slow in getting off there, and just saw the fielder trying to get a quick throw in and hurried through. Prasanna again to Amla, this time played down the ground, straight back to the bowler.
Yeah, the line has been good so far, but these guys are still being able to pick their spots and get the runs that is needed. But this has been a good over so far. From Prasanna. Played
towards fielder at mid-wicket, just another dot ball, so just 2 runs so far of the first 4 balls. Not much change in the field, except the fielder at mid-off has gone deep. This time outside the off-stump, driven past the fielder at point, making the fielder at deep cover work. Meanwhile, the batsmen are able to cross over for just the 1 run. Score moves along, 182 for 1. Amla now on 85. It's du Plessis who will be facing. He's 69 not out of 66 balls. Prasanna in his 8th over, just the one ball remaining. So far, none for 53. As Clive said, he's held a tight line, but in between, he's let the loose ball slip. This time, driven by du Plessis, just past the fielder at extra cover. And fielded in the deep. It's 1 run to end the over, 183 for 1 after 33 overs. You're listening to South Africa versus Sri Lanka in the ICC Champions Trophy with Sir Clive Lloyd and me, Chetan Narula. We are live on TalkSport 2 in the UK, and in other parts of the world we are on Channel 2 Cricket Radio. 17 not out for du Plessis, and they're looking good, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, they're looking very comfortable, and these two batters, Amla and du Plessis, are accustomed to large scores. I think du Plessis' highest score is 185 and Amla's 150.
154.
So they're not accustomed to giving away their hands at 90 and 80, or they make really big scores. So that's why I suppose that they're looking to stay there as long as possible and make sure that they get to that total that would probably put it out of reach of the Sri Lankans.
And coincidentally, as Sir Clive mentioned, those scores have both come against Sri Lanka. 185 for du Plessis against Sri Lanka, and for Amla 154 also against Sri Lanka. Remember, Sri Lanka had a poor series in South Africa in 2016. They lost 5-0